Competition has the largest cash prize for first place. It's the World Series of Poker.
The winner of this will win more money than Wimbledon, the Masters, the Kentucky Derby. This is the big one.
In fact, the champion gets $1.5 million.
This is the event that every poker player, amateur, professional, they all want to play this event.
Here at Binion's Casino in Las Vegas, each of the 512 players has to pay $10,000 to enter this 4-day event. And on the last day, these 6 finalists remain. Among them, professional gamblers and lucky novices. Come see what it's like to risk $500,000 on the single turn of a card. The World Series of Poker is a group of poker tournaments that ends with a massive championship contest in a form of poker known as No Limit Texas Hold'em. Everybody here knows that somebody is going to walk away with $1.5 million. Even 6th place pays a couple $100,000. Needless to say, this interests a lot of people.
I saw a lot of it on TV and stuff and looked exciting, so I decided to come out and give it a shot.
I think that was the greatest surprise of all, is the huge turnout. Everybody is just ecstatic about the turnout.
Stefan Gorilla, Parkland, Rachel Denny, Louis Maslow, Ian Davis, Pollock, Bill Ivey.
It's been said that poker is a tough way to make an easy living, and that's because there are a lot of poker pros. But even 2-time champion Johnny Chan will tell you, anything can happen.
Nowadays, you know, they got books, computer. I mean, everybody's good out there. They're good as me, as far as I'm concerned.
One thing about this tournament is anybody who enters it has a chance to win. It's I've seen some of the greatest win it. I've seen complete neophytes win it. So anybody's got a chance.
It's very hard to win any of these events. I've been trying for maybe 7 years now.
Oh, there's a lot of very tough players. Most of the players here can play, and it's going to come down to who makes the best decisions, who doesn't crack under the pressure, and who gets the good hands.
Poker tournaments work a bit differently from the game you might play at home. Once you buy in, that's it. You're either going home rich or you're only bringing back a story. And because the World Series of Poker is the biggest tournament, it isn't cheap to enter. It costs $10,000 to buy in, for which you receive $10,000 in tournament chips. The game continues over 4 long days, and you can't quit while you're ahead. You must play until you go broke. The last person remaining with all of the chips is the winner. And the wealthier players can't write a check and enter again. Everyone starts out equal and on a level playing field. Some Las Vegas bookmakers even take bets on which player will ultimately win the tournament.
I did see a paper with some odds posted, which I was 80 to 1. I'd like to bet against myself at 80 to 1.
Poker's improved. Used to, there wasn't but about 15 people could play. Now everybody can. Everyone can. And that's good. In this, out of the 512 players, I think there was at least 200 that had no win. I mean, I'm not putting them down, you know, but man, very seldom do the lamb slaughter the butcher.
Every game in Vegas includes an element of luck, but most poker players will tell you that their game requires skill.
Most forms of gambling have little or no skill, by which I mean that the luck is by far the most important factor. In some games, such as dice and slot machines, luck is 100% of what determines your outcome.
Those are games where you play against the casino and you give up a mathematical advantage to the house. So, over time, you can expect to lose all your money. Poker is different. Players don't go up against the house. They just pay the casino a set fee to play, and then the odds are the same for everybody in the game. It's the only casino game where your winning means another player is losing. That means when you sit down to play a pleasant game of poker in a casino, you've got the same chance to cannibalize your opponents as they do to you. This year, the biggest poker event in the world is bigger than ever. There are 512 entries. The top 45 win some money, and everybody else, that's 467 people, will have endured a few torturously long days of poker playing just to realize they have squandered $10,000. At the end of the 4-day event, 6 of the players will vie for the championship and the big money. It's all come down to these 6 players. Roman Abensay is from Southern California. Chris Ferguson, who has a Ph.D. in computer science. T.J. Cloutier, a former tight end in the Canadian Football League who currently plays poker professionally. Steve Kaufman, a professor and ordained rabbi. Hassan Habib, a former video store owner who now plays poker professionally. And Jim McManus, a novelist and English professor who was on assignment from Harper's Magazine to cover the World Series of Poker and ended up playing in it. This is the beginning of the 4th and final day of the tournament, and Chris Ferguson already has a commanding lead. At this stage of the tournament, the stakes are very high. Most people would rather play safe, slow, and conservative. So in order to encourage betting action, there are antes as well as 2 blinds. Everyone at the table is compelled to put in some chips as their ante, but on a rotating basis, 2 of the players are required to also put up forced bets, otherwise known as blinds. These bets must be matched by all players who wish to enter that particular hand. Consequently, every pot is worth playing for, because the blinds and antes ensure that a significant number of chips are in play. The second hand proves that this year the players are all out to win. Statistically, some cards are more likely to win than others. In the long run, Chris is expected to win 54.7% of the time. Roman should win 44.9% of the time, and their hands should tie and thus split the pot about 0.4% of the time. Without knowing Roman's cards, Chris decided to raise to $600,000. Roman likes his ace-queen, so he called and put all of his chips on the line. Since there is no more betting to be done, both of the players' hands are exposed.
Now that's an even money situation. They've both played their hands well. If Roman loses the pot, he's out of the tournament. If Chris loses the pot, he's still going to have $2.5 million left.
Once the decisions are made, fortunes are won and hopes are dashed on the turn of a card. Someone has to lose. Competitors must be eliminated. And right now, Roman isn't expected to survive. Call it fate or call it luck. Hundreds of thousands of dollars are riding on these cards. The main event at the World Series of Poker is a merciless game of no-limit Texas Hold'em, where the winner takes home $1.5 million in cash. It's only the second hand, but Roman Abensay is fearlessly locking horns with Chris Ferguson, the chip leader.
The ace-queen made a good raise, the 2-8s made a good re-raise, and the ace-queen made the proper call.
A queen or an ace will win it for Roman because then his pair would be bigger than Chris's 8s. But it isn't meant to be. Roman lost all his chips on this hand, and consequently Roman is out of the tournament.
The feeling that you get when you bust out of the big one at the World Series of Poker is an emptiness and despair. It's the death of hope and of dreams.
Well, it's really depressing. I mean, I wanted to go higher.
But that's poker. Sometimes good cards beat bad cards, and sometimes they don't. And that's just how Texas Hold'em works.
The World Series of Poker is played in no-limit form because no-limit is by far the toughest kind of poker to play.
The reason is it's the highest skill, highest stress, highest amount of money, highest amount of anxiety of any type of poker.
The winner in no-limit Hold'em is determined by the standard poker hand rankings. Royal flush is the best possible hand, whereas high card is the worst. In no-limit Hold'em, each player is dealt 2 down cards that differentiate his hand from his opponent's. Then each player will peek at his own cards without revealing them to his opponents. There is a round of betting. The dealer discards or burns the top card and then reveals the first 3 community cards, known as the flop. There is the second round of betting. The dealer burns another card and reveals the 4th card. This is called the turn. Then there is the 3rd round of betting. Finally, the dealer burns again and reveals the 5th card, also known as the river card. Ultimately, players must make their best 5-card hand using any number of their own cards, plus those from the center of the table. In this example, player 1 has 3 8s called 3 of a kind. But player 2 wins the pot with the better hand, 5 cards of the same suit, which is ranked as a flush.
Each of these rounds of betting in No Limit Hold'em can be whatever the player wants to bet.
Because it's what we call table stakes, I can't be forced to fold my hand if, for example, you have $1,000 in front of you and I have $100 and you bet 1,000, I don't have to fold because I only have 100. So I can go broke, meaning I can lose all the money that's in front of me, but no more that's in front of me. Likewise, all I can win is that amount. So if I have 100 in front of me, all I can win is $100 from you. I can't win more than that.
In tournament poker, all players start with a finite number of chips. The antes and forced bets increase at regular intervals until all but one person has gone broke. The last man standing is the winner.
And then the tournament prize pool, which is the sum total of what all the players have invested, is divided by a certain predetermined percentage.
This year, the payout was substantial.
In tournament play, as time goes on and people start leaving because they go broke, the levels get higher and higher and higher, and because of that there's a higher degree of chance.
There's a big debate as to how much of poker is skill and how much is luck. In the poker community, there certainly isn't a consensus, but everybody has an opinion.
The luck that we're talking about is important because almost all the players are excellent players.
Movie Rounders, several times in the movie that the hero made the comment that you see the same people at the final table of the World Series of Poker every year. Well, the fact of the matter is it's just the opposite is true.
I think some people just have a knack and a natural ability to be good poker players.
Some poker champions have proven their skill by repeated wins, such as Johnny Chan in '87 and '88, and TJ Cloutier's numerous big money finishes. But on any given day, you can count on some poker all-stars busting out early.
There's still a great deal of luck, and occasionally a total amateur will pop up and do well.
That was the case with amateur poker player Jim McManus, who made it to the finals. And he didn't even come to Vegas to enter the event.
I've been at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago as a liberal arts professor since 1981.
Jim is also a freelance writer. He got an assignment from Harper's Magazine to do a piece on the World Series of Poker.
The assignment was $5,000 for 5,000 words. My expenses, which would normally be paid after the tournament, after the assignment was done, we made an arrangement so that I would get the $4,000 up front. So I had effectively $9,000 to play with. And I didn't spend those on hotels or airfare. I got my airplane ticket with frequent flyer miles, and I got a very cheap room.
Just before the tournament, I was put in charge of going to the bank and getting out the advance for Jim to take to Las Vegas with him. By that point, I was completely comfortable with the fact that we may lose this, but as I handed it to him, I said, "This is the biggest chunk of change I've ever held in my life, and I hope that you do well with it."
Jim won enough at poker before the tournament so that he got to play in the main event.
He interviewed me. He was almost a rank beginner. I gave him a couple of our books. A journalist, not really a poker player. So if he wins it, I'm going to ask for a plug.
I had spent the last year or so reading every poker book, specifically having to do with No Limit Hold'em, that I could get my hands on while I played the mass computer game.
All the hours that he spent on the computer, all the books, I felt that it was definitely something that he could take very far, especially given who he is and what a quick study he is, and certainly how dedicated he was to it.
The most helpful book was TJ's book, Championship, No Limit, and Pot Limit Hold'em, in which he spends the first chapter talking in a fairly derogatory way about book learning and people who read books as opposed to picking up their experience on the road, and then the rest of the book giving knockdown, spectacularly accurate, precise advice as to how to play those games.
And now this freelance writer and poker student is up against the man who literally wrote the book on the game.
Part of me just wanted him to go and have the experience and have a great article as a result. Another part of me really did think that he would do well.
While Jim was interviewing players for Harper's, he became friends with Hassan Habib, who had his own concerned family.
I grew up in Karachi, Pakistan. I started in poker about 1985. Just finished college and I was playing in Gardena, small limits like 1 and 2.
No, I wasn't really happy about it at that time. I didn't know what it would be like, and I was thinking it's like gambling, you shouldn't be doing it.
Well, I started doing good in some of the smaller tournaments and stuff, and people said, like Ben, the master, knew, and he saw me play side games, and he said, Hassan, I think you can play some tournaments. I like the way you play.
Hassan Habib is a very much improved player. A few years ago, we all kind of wanted him at our table. That's not true anymore. And in fact, we used to call up and see if Hassan was playing, and we'd go and play. But now he's become an excellent tournament player.
I just wish him good luck, and I hope he gets what he wants, and that he's happy in it, and that things go well for him, that's all.
I really appreciate the support from my friends and family. It's really important. I know I couldn't have made it without that. And it gives you that extra strength at the right time, you know.
And Hassan is going to need it, even against his new friend, Jim McManus.
Jim McManus played fantastic. I mean, I don't think he really plays poker that much, and he just read books and played the tournament. I think what he did was phenomenal.
As friendly as they were to each other, there was big money to be won. They had to be merciless.
I had an ace-4, and I just wanted to pick up the pot right there.
I got to know him better and watched him play and played big pots with him. We not only became friends, but I had a fairly good sense what kinds of cards he was playing. When he went all in with ace-4, I had no hesitation whatsoever.
I figured that was it. You know, I'm done unless I get really lucky.
I felt as though that money was mine. There was $1.1 million in it. There was no doubt in my mind that I was going to win that pot.
At this point, Jim will win the pot and knock out Hassan if any card other than a 4 falls. But Jim's luck ran out. On the last card, otherwise known as 5th Street, Jim suffered what poker players call a bad beat. This is when you're the huge statistical favorite to win the hand, yet you still lose.
That's part of poker. It happens in every tournament. Basically, to win a tournament, you have to give at least one bad beat and to survive at least one bad beat. If you don't do that, you're not going to be there.
Crippled by his own friend and stunned by his bad luck, Jim knows he doesn't have a lot of time. The rising antes are so expensive that soon Jim is going to run out of chips without even playing a hand. He needs to make a comeback right away. Every spectator wants to know just how far this amateur sensation can go. Competitors at the World Series of Poker vie for the richest prize pool in sports, over $5 million in this event alone. Among the remaining 5 players at the final table, there are 3 with graduate degrees. Jim McManus in writing, Steve Kaufman, a professor of ancient languages, and Chris Ferguson has a PhD in computer science artificial intelligence. He also has most of the chips.
Having the dominant chip position is important because you feel powerful. It gives you the ability to run over smaller stacks. You don't have to worry about making a marginal call if somebody doesn't have too many chips because you have a few that are expendable. And so it gives you a position of power at the table and respect from the other players. They don't want to compete against you because they know that you can bust them. So having a big stack is a huge advantage.
Steve might have been trying to steal a pot by raising with a bluff, and he was nervous about getting knocked out of the tournament. So when Chris aggressively re-raised for $500,000 more, Steve decided to play it safe and fold. But this isn't his first poker tournament. He'd been around a while.
Tournament play has basically been profitable for me, and I think for most good tournament players from the beginning. Obviously, there must be a lot of people who don't make money at tournaments, because a lot of us do.
But this player has a spiritual side. He is an ordained rabbi and professor.
I've
been teaching at Hebrew Union College in Cincinnati since 1976.
He has a brilliant scientific mind. He's one of the finest scholars in his field, and I always wondered what would happen if a genius applied that genius to some other field, maybe a totally unrelated field. Now I know. He becomes a champion poker player.
He's a pretty intense guy. You can never tell when he's joking or bluffing. That's what scared us so much in class. So.
A holy man being interested in poker is it's a different twist. It's with his mind, it makes sense that he's a poker player because it works in mysterious ways.
One of the beauties about being an academic is that often your schedule is very, very flexible. So for someone who wants to do the kind of recreational activities that I do, it's a good job.
Back at the final table, Jim McManus is having a tough time with about $100,000 in chips.
Sounds like a lot of money to the American public, but when everybody else has $500,000, it's not very much money.
You know, you put them under the spotlights and you put the pressure on them, and you see people crack all the time, every year, you know, under the spotlights of the final pressure of the final table, and even the great players make mistakes.
Jim has just risked it all with an ace and a 2.
I think it was costing me $60,000 a round, half my stack. So as soon as I got the ace, I wished it was not a small ace. I wished it was 2 aces, but I didn't have to debate with myself very long to play ace-deuce in that situation.
When I looked down, I had an ace-queen, and I felt that he probably had nothing more than a lousy ace, and I was right.
Jim gambled with a substandard hand and was now the statistical underdog. Unfortunately, he couldn't get lucky.
I got caught. That's the whole final table for me right there. And then I was too hasty. I was there too briefly to, it was exciting. I wish I could still be there.
For a freelance writer and amateur player, Jim was leaving with a pretty nice parting gift, $247,000.
My daughter Bridget will get a car, and I will see, my wife and I will work it out. I don't know if we can get a bigger house with that much extra. I'll have to see what I net after the taxes and all the other stuff.
Less than an hour into the 4th day of the tournament, 2 players were already knocked out. The local poker pros were stunned.
I mean, it went really fast. Like 4 players were left by 1:15. I mean, that's really unusual.
You know, what happens when one person has all the chips, the rest of them are moving faster to try to get into a position to where they can feel comfortable and try to lock up a second place position.
Almost no one could think of dethroning the massive chip leader, Chris Ferguson. Who is this guy?
My father teaches game theory at UCLA. He used to bring home all sorts of different kind of games that we played. He'd show me how to solve them, and we solved them together. I got my undergraduate degree at UCLA in math computer science. And then I went on into the computer science program at UCLA, and about a year ago I actually got my PhD in artificial intelligence.
Does this guy ever do anything just for fun?
I started swing dancing in the UCLA dance club, and that's the way I met my girlfriend.
I met him 5 years ago swing dancing.
And now you might call her a poker groupie.
I've actually been going up to the World Series to see Chris compete for 5 years now. This was the 5th time I saw him enter the big event, so he never even finished in the money before in the final event. So it was fantastic to watch.
After the third day of the event, Chris had amassed a substantial chip lead. It seemed that the tournament was his to lose. Everyone expected him to win it all.
Wednesday night, when he had the big chip lead, mostly what I said is, honey, come to bed. I need to sleep, and you're keeping me up with all the pacing.
But for now, it appears Chris is on top of his game, and he is one of the few professional-level poker players who doesn't even call himself a pro. For some, devoting your life to a card game sounds like heaven.
Being a professional poker player is a kind of a neat lifestyle, especially if you're young and don't have advanced degrees and have the talent to do it. A good poker player can make $1,500 a week, maybe more, working when he chooses, getting up when he wants to, going to sleep when he wants. Matching wits with the other people. For those who enjoy matching wits, it's kind of fun. I did it quite a while. I wouldn't recommend it for those who have the ability to become world-class computer engineers or musicians.
People can ruin their lives by sitting at a poker table for 15 hours a day, not getting any exercise, eating the wrong foods, and so on.
And losing your figure isn't even the worst thing that can happen to you. The randomness of the cards can cause good players to lose to bad players with surprising frequency.
Surviving swings and fluctuations is real tough for poker players. Even the best ones usually hit a time where they go broke at one point or another.
The casinos make money and some pros make money. Therefore, it has to be true that most players who might think they're winners are only fooling themselves.
Well, a majority of them don't live, they just exist. And that's true too, believe it or not. In that room right down there right now, outside of the businessmen, there's not 20 people that are successful playing poker. Now there's some temporary success. They'll get hold of $2.5 million or something, like I said, but 6 weeks later, it's gone. I don't think that's success.
Maybe there are as many as a few hundred players who make a good living, but most don't.
Frankly, I know a lot of guys who are always broke that play tournament poker.
Nevertheless, some top players do earn a living playing cards, but there's no point being the 7th best poker player in the world if you're playing with the top 6.
Well, there's a famous expression from many years ago that says if you look around the table and you can't find the sucker in the game, then you're the sucker.
Nobody thinks of himself as a sucker, but it's a zero-sum game. If there are some big winners, there have to be a lot of losers. And when luck is involved, no one is immune to a losing streak.
Even the very best tournament players experience huge volatility in their results. And in addition, a few of them have some other bad habits, particularly concerning gambling. So because of that, some of them have gone out and have sought backers.
What usually happens if the player is good enough is that other players are willing to jump in and back that player and give him or her the money needed to get back into the game. And you can play without fear because you know that even if you lose your money, you've got 3 friends who know that you're a better investment than Cisco or Microsoft. So what a lot of the players like to do is to spread their risk around by either trading off pieces of themselves with other players or finding the money men to come in behind them and back them up.
Yeah, well, I used to trade pieces, and I got I paid out $327,000, and I got back $16,000. So we kind of figured that wasn't the thing to do. I only traded with the best players, but it seemed like I had a little better earning power in the tournaments than they did.
I happen to be backed by somebody, and he's done it for 3 years, and he's a pretty big winner by backing me. So for him, it's been successful. He backs other people too, and he's ahead of the game.
I've gotten into the business of sponsoring on a little larger scale. I have 8 of the real fine players.
Often after tournament fees and costs are recouped, the player and the backers split the profits. And it works out for some.
It was very profitable last year. Team Pegasus, which is the name of the group that my players play for, made several $100,000 cash money. 4
players remain: Steve, Hassan, TJ, and Chris. The next player out will walk away with $326,000. But the last man standing will win $1.5 million. There are 4 players left in the World Series of Poker, but just about everybody in the room has their own fantasies about being the best. 31 years ago, casino owner Binion decided to settle the issue by creating the World Series of Poker.
This event started off as an invitational. They just invited 30 of the best poker players to come to Binion's and have a series of tournaments.
But even among the best, some are better than others. Amarillo Slim was there.
We spanked their little tails and sent them home. That was, without those kind of people, though, you know, without a bunch of little bitty minnows, there wouldn't be a lot of guards running around. You know, you got to feed on something.
I remember many years ago when the tournament first started, but just a handful of guys. I mean, they were all characters, all good guys, but now this is truly a world-class event.
World-class poker legend T.J. Cloutier has earned every significant title on the poker circuit except for one. Though he has made it to the final table at the big one 3 times before, he has never won the World Series of Poker championship event.
T.J. Cloutier is another tournament specialist who has done incredibly well, maybe the best of any tournament player in history. He plays an instinctive game. He's very observant, and his greatest strength is being able to figure out what the other players have.
T.J. Cloutier has incredible patience and can sit there and wait and wait and wait until he gets the exact moment to spring.
But right now, he doesn't have a lot of chips.
Normally, in a poker tournament, if the players are of equal quality, of equal talent, their chances of winning are directly proportionate to the size of their stacks.
When you have a lot of chips, you can start attacking the small stacks because they have to be more protective of their chips. In other words, you can attack them with weaker hands than they can afford to play. So they constantly are surrendering small pots.
Poker is a game of strategy, statistics, and psychology. Often, poor poker players will play every hand they're dealt. Smart poker players understand that certain starting hands are statistically more likely to win than others. They throw away the bad hands and invest bets in the good ones. Because in the long run, you can't count on being luckier than your opponents. Good poker players don't win more often. They simply win more money.
The general principle of winning at gambling is to make bets where you have the best of it. That is not the same thing as making bets where you would probably win. You could have the best of it making a bet that will most likely lose, as long as the bet is offering you odds over and above what it should be.
Poker folk call this concept pot odds. In those circumstances, you might lose a little money most of the time, but when you do win, you get so much that it more than makes up for all the small losses.
This is one of the reasons why I think poker is so important for everybody to learn, because there's so many decisions in life where you have to evaluate your risk versus reward, and poker teaches you better than anything when you should and when you shouldn't take that risk versus the reward.
But at its core, poker is a game of human strategy.
To become a great no-limit hold'em player, you have to really be able to analyze your opponents. I think that's the most important thing. Obviously, you need to know statistics of when you're a favorite in the hand and when you're not, but you need to be able to pretty much tell what your opponent has, when he's weak. You need to sense that. So a lot of analytical skills important in no-limit.
Back at the final table, sometimes strategy takes a back seat to raw courage.
Whenever I made a move for the last 2 days, TJ had been moving in on me every time. Or if I just limped in, he moved in on me. If I raised him, he moved in on me.
Hassan couldn't let himself be bullied. He thought it over.
I said, I'm going to make a stand on it. I think I got the best hand. I called him. He turned his hand over. He had King's 10 offsuit, and I was a favorite in that hand.
Hassan already had a pair, so he is just hoping TJ doesn't make a hand. TJ needs a king or a 10 to make a pair that would beat Hassan. The flop gave it to him. Now Hassan needs a 2 to make 3 of a kind.
TJ has a diamond draw, and Hassan has a straight draw. Needs an ace or a 6.
that's not a diamond.
There are still a few cards that will win it for Hassan, but none of them showed up. In fact, a fourth diamond showed up, giving TJ a flush, and Hassan lost a lot of chips.
All right, Hassan says all in. About 300,000 approximately. All right, Chris says, all right, I'm all in with you.
The game continues, and Hassan is trying to make some money with a semi-strong hand, King-Queen. But he ran into Chris Ferguson, who has one of the best possible starting hands, Ace-King.
Flop comes down with an ace, a 5, and a jack.
The flop gives Chris the best hand with a pair of aces. However, if a 10 comes, then Hassan will win with a straight.
Comes a queen.
Still no luck.
Didn't get there.
Apparently, Hassan just couldn't get the cards he needed, and Hassan is out of the tournament.
I feel okay, a little bit disappointed, but I feel all right, I guess. I would have liked to come at least second or third.
It's still early in the day, and it's already down to 3 people. Looking at a very strong starting hand of a pair of 10s, Chris continues bullying with a big raise.
$100,000.
Steve calls with a pretty weak hand that has a long shot chance of turning into a very strong hand. The flop gives Steve the illusion of a good hand when he pairs his queen.
Steve says, I can't wait any longer.
But Chris has an even bigger hand with 3 10s.
He shows a queen and a 5. He shows 3 10s. Chris has a set of 10s. Comes an 8. He needs a 9.
And thus, Steve is eliminated.
3 10s.
You know, this is the biggest win of my life, obviously, and who can imagine? You know, I took a shot. I knew Chris had a big hand.
It's been a little more exciting than I thought it would be. You know, I've been at the final table with a lot of chips like this before, and I didn't finish the job that quick. I didn't expect it to go that fast.
I can say this. 2 of the greatest players from the final 36 are in there playing heads up. And to me, that shows the skill of poker.
The finalists who were already eliminated looked at their wins differently.
Damn. I was thinking, I felt like I had, instead of winning $250,000, it felt like I had just lost $1.1 million. I was a winner at that point, but I felt not quite devastated, but seriously pissed.
I won $570,500. I already bought some property and have begun giving some to charity, investing some, and we'll see if there's any left after the IRS takes its piece.
With $1.5 million for first place and $900,000 for second on the line, the audience is ready for a ruthless end to this glorious game. It's one-on-one between an old-school legend and a savvy PhD from the next generation. Chris Ferguson is a winning tournament player, and he has all the ammunition he needs with 10 times the chips as TJ. But if anyone can make a comeback, it's got to be TJ Cloutier.
TJ Cloutier is one of the finest poker players in the world. There's many of us world champions like myself and others who feel like TJ deserves to have a world championship. He has won every major tournament at every major venue, basically, up to this point in his life. Except this one, TJ came to the final table with only $216,000, but he had a chance.
TJ Cloutier's fans whisper, "Chip in a chair."
A chip in a chair, I believe the phrase was coined when Jack Strauss had 1 chip, $500 left, and he went on to win the tournament. And they said, well, as long as you have a chip to play and a chair to sit in, and you're still in the tournament, then you have a chance to win it.
The winner of the World Series of Poker will receive $1.5 million in cash. Based on a quaint custom that started when Binion created the tournament, the money is always transported in a cardboard box.
Every year, that's a tradition that we'll bring. It was $1 million before, but this year it'll be $1.5 million, so we'll have to get a bigger box. And we'll bring it out and it'll be displayed here.
Of course, there's a small army of guards surrounding the box. The 31st Annual World Series of Poker is a shining success. The payout is determined by the number of players, and so the overwhelming attendance makes for record-breaking prize money. The Binion staff is proud. All that's left is to determine the ultimate champion. Chris has his admirers, and of course so does TJ, and all eyes are fixed on the game. They are gentlemen combatants, gracefully enduring 4 long days of intense poker. It started with 512, and now it's down to 2 of the best. Neither has ever won the championship, though TJ has come heartbreakingly close many times before.
75,000. Well, comes out of 10, 7, 10. TJ Phelps. 200,000. TJ says, I'm all in. TJ says a 10 and 9 against the 7 and 5 with their 7. 3 10s for TJ.
One of the skills a top poker player has is tricking his opponent into thinking he has a worse hand than he does. TJ had a very strong 3 of a kind right away, but he pretended to have a weak hand. Chris bet a lot of money, and TJ ended up doubling his chips. Chris went from having over 10 times the chips as TJ to only 6 times as many. With some delicate play, TJ now has over $1 million in chips. He's creeping closer to the leader. They've played just over 60 hands, and TJ has made quite a comeback. They've each bet it all on this hand. The championship is on the line. Because all of the money has been bet, the players turn over their cards for the spectators. TJ makes a great calculation and is the massive statistical favorite.
And it comes to Jack. Jack of spades. Comes to Jack. Gets away with a split 5. Jack produces on the board.
But their hands tie and the pot is split. It's hand number 72, and TJ needs to win some chips.
75,000, Chris made it. TJ called 175.
Chris raised. TJ called him with King 10, and it came King, King, 6,
King of spades,
2
King of
spades.
hearts, 6 of
TJ
spades.
flopped 3 kings, which is almost an unbeatable hand, and he checked, as if to say, I have nothing. And the other guy bet 200,000. And he hemmed and hawed like to say, I have nothing. And he called the 200,000.
TJ calls the 200. King of spades, King of hearts, 6 of spades, Trey of hearts. TJ checks. Chris checks. Last card comes a Jack of diamonds. TJ says 600,000.
And then TJ finally came out and bet 600,000 on the river. He had a very strong hand, and the other guy called him. But TJ just did it really nice. He just kept checking like I have nothing, and he bet 600,000 like I'm bluffing. He was just playing with his mind a little bit. But he played the hand beautifully, and he took the chip lead.
I think Chris is now getting a little scared. You know, he had a huge chip lead, and TJ has all the respect from every poker player in the world, including Chris, and now he's beginning to see why.
Now Chris is not going to roll over and die. but a lot of people like Lane are saying TJ has it in the bag. I've been around a long time. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'll say this. Both of these guys are playing great poker.
TJ made a tremendous comeback from having a tenth of the chips to being even with Chris.
Chris says all in. TJ said, I call all in. Ace deuce of spades against an ace seven of hearts. Chris has the ace deuce of spades, ace seven of hearts. The flop comes with the two spades and the queen of hearts, queen of hearts, ten of spades, tray of spades. All right. Comes the king of hearts. Now we have a queen, king of hearts, and a 10 tray of spades. We have a heart draw and a spade draw. Here comes the last card, the new 10 of diamonds. We have another split pot.
Chris made a raise, TJ made a re-raise of $500,000. He moves in and TJ called with. TJ has a better hand with ace-7 of hearts versus ace-deuce of spades, meaning basically the only way that Chris can win is by hitting a 2. You know, because if he hits an ace, it's no good. TJ has a bigger kicker, which that's the second time in this tournament that has happened for Chris Ferguson. So he's escaped the bullet twice.
TJ succeeded past the other 4 finalists to make it to this, the 93rd hand of the last day of the tournament. Coming from behind, he was now almost even with Chris. Chris raises with a strong hand of ace-9. TJ re-raises the rest of his money. Maybe TJ is trying to steal. But Chris doesn't realize that TJ has ace-queen, and consequently TJ is almost a 3-to-1 favorite to win it all.
I know he was stressing. He had taken off his hat. He was running his hands through his hair, shaking his head. I know he was fearful. I think he could sense that it was slipping away, because by that time certainly he did not have dominant position. They were equally stacked.
I'll gamble again.
You gonna go all in or not? You say all in? He's going all in. He's going ace-queen against an ace-9. All right, hold it. Chris has an ace of spades, 9 of clubs. TJ has the ace of diamonds, queen of clubs.
Ace-9 option for Chris Ferguson, ace of diamonds, queen of clubs.
Flop comes down a deuce of hearts, king of clubs, 4 of hearts.
With 1 card to come, Chris needs a 9. If he gets it, he wins the championship. But any other card in the deck means TJ wins this massive pot.
9! 9 of hearts.
And there it is. Chris Ferguson is the newest world champion of poker. A gentleman in defeat, TJ has poise and perspective on his recent loss.
Good. No, I mean, it's not every day you win $896,000. But I gave it a good try. We played well. We had a good time.
After an incredible win of $1.5 million, Chris and his family had to celebrate.
Yes, Binion's, after the win, was kind enough to comp our victory celebration up in their steakhouse, which was wonderful. We had bottles of champagne. We partied with about 12 people.
You're the best champion ever.
Yes!
And so another World Series creates another champion and another chapter in the history of gambling's best sport. And next year there will be another crop of challengers.
And there's something about the poker tournament, there's just an energy and excitement here that is indescribable. You have to be here to enjoy it and get the full flavor. So I hope everybody will come next year.
So there's just one question you have to ask yourself. Are you ready to play?